From last place in the East in 2024 to the top of the American League and then inches away from a World Series crown in 2025, this has been a magical year for the Blue Jays. And as the fan base continues to mourn the loss of Game 7, we are looking back on this amazing season and ahead to 2026. So to help us do that is Sportsnet Senior Writer David Singh. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me here.
You have been at every game, writing feverishly, furiously, all of the above. Let me get your take on the series in general, what it was like. It felt like it was a storybook, wild adventure.
I think after Game 3, the extra inning, 18-inning loss, you kind of felt like, okay, this series is amazing. How can it possibly top that? And then here we sit 2 days after Game 7, it topped it in a big way. I think it's got to be one of the most captivating World Series that's ever been played. I think that's not hyperbole. That's a factual statement. This was a wild ride to cap a wild ride of a season for the Toronto Blue Jays.
What are some of the big moments that stand out for you? Because you're having to watch every single play. You're doing all the post-game interviews. What stood out for you?
The Shohei Ohtani performance in Game 3, offensively, the extra innings, but then also the Jays bouncing back after that. That's a heartbreaking loss. A lot of teams would crumble, having lost that. They could just kind of roll over and die. The Jays came charging back the next day. The Vladdy home run against Ohtani the next day. The Vladdy and Davis Schneider back-to-back home runs. I believe that was Game 5. Sorry, I'm sleep deprived at this moment. And then Trey Yusavage, his performance. Just for a rookie to do that on the road in Los Angeles, that was his first road start of these playoffs. Absolutely insane. If you had a Hollywood script writer write it up, they wouldn't even be able to imagine this kind of stuff. So that comes to mind as the top moments. I'm sure there are many more, though. I mean, I'm sure every fan has their own special moment, but those are what stand out to me.
My goodness, the Springer Dinger in Game 7. That one right there. We forgot about the big one,
There
right?
you go.
Let's talk about, and I don't like to dwell in the past, but a lot of players like to, and a lot of fans like to, with what happened in Game 7, because we were quite literally inches away from potentially winning. We heard Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, heard, some fans are coming after him from that third base, bases loaded, saying you should have had a wider lead off, you could have made it home. You've had to write all about this, between Hoffman saying he's taking the blame for not having the win, and there's so much around that. What's your take around these individual plays?
So Max Scherzer said it best last night. I mean, he is the elder statesman of the team. So what he says goes. He's a future Hall of Famer. He said, I believe the quote was something along the lines of, we win as a team, we lose as a team. And that is exactly right. I think that rings true. It's unfair to single out a single moment, whether it's Kiner-Falefa, whether it's Jeff Hoffman. I mean, you can look at several guys who didn't get the job done in key situations yesterday. And those big plays that we just talked about, they kind of get the shine, which is not exactly fair.
No.
And I think it's undermining this club as a whole, which playing as a team has been their through line throughout the season. It's been their calling card. It's been their mantra. So I think if you're going to do that when they win, you also have to do that when they lose.
As we talk about them as a team, and we've said this time and time again, it's a different feel in that clubhouse. It really feels like they like one another. They enjoy coming to work every day, as they've said multiple times over. And a lot of them so emotional after Game 7, and perhaps because we don't know what next year's team will look like. A number of them heading into free agency, and the big question mark sits around Bo Bichette. So what is do you have any intel or, or any take on what could be happening with him?
So I was among the reporters who spoke to Bo following the Game 7 loss. I wrote about that on sportsnet.ca. Even he said it's too fresh right now. I mean, he just lost Game 7 of the World Series. Obviously, there are going to be no answers that come from that. He did say he wants to be here, and that's something he's maintained all season long. When people have asked him, when reporters have asked him, about his future, he's maintained, I want to be here, and I want to win a World Series with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his very close friend, someone he's grown up with in the organization. I think it's tough to say what'll happen. Anything can happen in free agency, but he wants to be here. The Jays, you would think, want to have him back. We'll learn more later this week when they have their availability with the front office, but that's a good starting point. If a player says that he wants to be here, if an organization needs him and wants him, you figure there's ways to make it work between them.
Sure, and he's not alone. We can talk about Bassett, you can talk about, so what about some of the the pitchers? What do you see around there?
Well, there's Bassett, there's Scherzer, and then there's Shane Bieber, who's got an option that's likely to be declined. That's 3/5 of your starting rotation. Yes, Trey Yusavage has emerged and figures to be at the front of that rotation next year, along with Kevin Gossman. But that's 2 starters. So you definitely need to focus on starting pitching, I would think, after Bichette, or maybe incongruent with Bichette. That is a priority for the Blue Jays this offseason, and it will be something really, really interesting to watch.
Okay, hopefully we get some answers in the coming days and then months to come. What's wild is that the next season is only a few months away.
I got a little bit of time to sleep.
You can have your rest. Appreciate it, David Singer. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.